The day has finally come. We finally have an attorney general now that's coming out swinging for Idahoans like a bull at the gates. And the COVID Gestapo is angry and livid about it. I love it. Raul Labrador is already on fire, dismissing the politically motivated charges against Sara Brady. And obviously, the tyrants are angry at him. How much park moms does a prosecutor prosecute if a prosecutor won't prosecute park moms?
My case, my park arrest case back in April of 2020, okay, almost 3 years ago, has finally been, the charges are being dropped. Thank you, Attorney General Raul Labrador, for doing that. I think finally, after almost 3 years, there's finally been a man who had some political gumption and who finally stood up and did the right thing. I don't think the same could be said of Governor Little. Obviously, the same cannot be said of the past Attorney General, Lawrence Wasden, who chose to mercilessly prosecute my case for almost 3 years. And I think I want to just point out here that the process has become the punishment.
You don't ask permission from Dr. Ted Epperly-Mangalo from the CDH if it's okay to go outside or not. You don't need permission from Lockdown Lachiondo if you need to take off your mask or not. You ignore these people. Not only should every single person responsible for dragging it out be voted out, they should all be indicted on criminal charges of cruel and unusual punishment. To put it bluntly, they are complicit in violating your rights for money.
Here it is, though, 3 years later, and I'm not going to go into the statement right now that was issued by Mayor Simison and then Chief Basterrechea, but all I'm going to say right now about it, what a disgrace. What a disgrace. And you've just put yourselves in another long line of individuals, people that aren't doing the right thing, because guess what? George Washington has been rolling in his grave since day one. I've been prosecuted for taking my kids to a playground. I never touched the equipment. I was never in an area that was wrapped up with caution tape. Never. And guess what? Mayor Simison, you guys made sure to tell people that they could be in open spaces in your park. I was in open space. I don't have to leave an area that's not been legally and lawfully shut down. Nobody legally and lawfully shut that down. And by the way, let's not forget what it actually said from your Park and Recs director, okay? What did your Park and Recs director say? He basically said, hey, employees, if people come to play at the playground, you're not going to stop them. Let them play. We're not going to stop them. We're just going to educate them. But what did you do to me? You arrested me, right? For some reason, I did something. It's very interesting. I think you guys should go and read what Mayor Simison and Basterrechea's political statement is.
So that's exactly what I did, so you don't have to. And boy, oh boy, is it a mouthful, spoken like a true tyrant. Here it is. The mayor and police chief issued the following statement in response to Attorney General Raul Labrador's announcement to dismiss all charges against Sara Brady. The Attorney General's apparent philosophy to selectively dismiss cases of his choosing and endorse illegal behavior is abhorrent. I support the people's right to assemble and peacefully protest, but that right does not include ignoring lawful orders or being free from legal ramifications of those actions. Unfortunately, this incident also led to harassment of our public officers at their private homes and doxing public servants. These actions are distressing, and Attorney General Labrador's decision is a breach of his oath of office to uphold the rule of law. If this is the tone he sets for Idaho's top legal officer, I am concerned about what the future holds. Overall, the decision to dismiss this case is appalling and a slap in the face to Meridian's police department, our public servants, and our law-abiding citizens of our state. I call upon the Idaho legislature to enact legislation to protect all Idahoans from harassment in their homes. Hopefully then something can come from this unfortunate decision, said Mayor Simeon. Fortunately for the people of Idaho, our police officers are apolitical in carrying out their duties. Unfortunately, this can't be said for our new Attorney General. The courts and the attorney involved in this case were very clear on the merits of this case. Conversations with the Attorney General's office as of late Friday, December 30th, 2022, indicated the case would still move forward. The question here is, what changed since Friday? We certainly hope it is not the type of political grandstanding we should expect coming out of the Attorney General's office moving forward. End of the world. We are supposed to be a nation ruled by law, not by nation of politics, said the police chief. That is a lot of tyranny on one page of press release from these two human Decepticons. And I'm about to tear this up, so buckle in. There's nothing illegal about standing on wood chips. They're just pulling that lawbreaker rule that never existed out their ass. Why do they claim to be for law and order, but then literally in the next line they claim to want to change it to ban protests they don't like when they say ban harassment in public homes? And don't you get started blaming Labrador for this. Blaming Labrador for your cruel and unusual punishment is honestly like a drug dealer blaming rehab for the overdoses he caused. Claiming he broke his oath is throwing massive rocks from your house made of glass. It's one of the most hypocritical statements I've ever heard in my entire life from any elected officials. I also love how the same people who terrorized us for years are suddenly claiming to be victims of harassment now. I can't get enough of that shit. That's like a Nazi at Nuremberg saying we were too harsh on them on the battlefields. They're in no position to claim to be a victim of harassment or anything else. What you have here is not just the words of a complete and total tyrant, but the words of a complete and utter hypocrite. One of the biggest hypocrites I've ever heard in my entire life. They claim to be victim while terrorizing others. They claim to uphold laws that literally don't exist. They claim to be safe while being completely reckless and disgraceful themselves. They claim to be for law and upholding their oath, but literally say they want to change the law by banning protests they don't like. If you were pure and uphold your oaths yourselves, you wouldn't be blaming Raul and trying to blame him and project him for your problems. Hypocrisy is the only thing you're good for. No laws were passed, no clear order was made, and no laws were broken. This was dragged out for personal and petty vendettas by Lawrence Wasden.
The judicial system twice, not once but twice, suspended my trials. The second time they did it was I was at $18,000. You tell me how that's justice, Mayor Simison and Basterrechea. You tell me how that's okay and why you think it's okay to continue to drag me now because you're mad because some protesters went to a cop's house that I had nothing to do with. I had nothing to do with, but you want to punish me and send a message to some protesters because I took my kids to a playground because you don't like lawful protest? Because guess what? That was a lawful protest that day. And maybe I didn't wear a t-shirt and maybe I didn't have a sign, but guess what? I was absolutely protesting what was going on that day. It's just that I didn't know that I had to have a sign and a t-shirt to do it when the cops showed up because I was there for a play date.
Overall, under Raul Labrador, I think we're going to see a lot more wins, possibly some in the judicial system. We already have one at the Idaho Supreme Court, which upheld our abortion ban. While we celebrate this victory and prepare for many more, we also need to tear a hole in these COVID tyrants' ass in Meridian City Council. I'll provide the numbers, the phone numbers, and the contact information in the description below. Shame on the mayor of Meridian and the police chief of Meridian, but praise to our Attorney General, Raul Labrador, and praise to all who stood by and helped support us and helped get rhinos out in 2022.
I think one thing that really needs to be said, and I'm just going to finish with this. I think for me, set aside the fact that Raul has done the right thing, and bravo to him for putting his political neck on the line. The real win for me is the fact that I have fought the state of Idaho, who has unlimited money, unlimited resources for almost 3 years, 988 days. I didn't take a $50 plea agreement. I didn't give up my innocence over a pot of porridge, okay? And so for me, I feel like I have won. It's taken a really long time, and I couldn't have done it without the support of thousands upon thousands of people. For now, I think I'm just going to enjoy some R&R with the family. We're going to go and celebrate, have a nice meal, and yeah. So thank you, Attorney General Raul Labrador. I appreciate you for doing the right thing, and it's good to know that despite the last 2 years of how many leaders that I've really lost my trust in. Sorry, I got my 4-year-old. It's nice to see that there are still leaders out there that will do the right thing despite what consequences may follow. And I think, I think Raul is, or Attorney General Raul Labrador is truly one of the great ones because how many men have stood by and done nothing. Right, Governor Little, Lawrence Wasden, Mayor Simison, Chief Basterrechea. I'm sorry, you guys are a disgrace and you should be embarrassed. Just, it's such a disgrace and embarrassment that you would think that taking a mom to jail is somehow justice. Prosecuting her for almost 3 years is justice. You're just little men is what you are. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to go and celebrate. And then on to the next chapter.
Sara paid at least $24,000 in legal fees to defend herself against this witch hunt. Mayor Simison and Lawrence Wasden and the people who prosecuted her should pay it all back and then some. No excuse. Go celebrate. Get all the R&R you need. You've earned it, Sara. Meanwhile, Raul and the rest of the constitutional citizens of Idaho will continue to be about our work, holding the line here in the state of Idaho.